Let's be real. As a data analytics consultant, you're a rock star with the numbers. But the moments that really define a project, the ones that make or break it, they don't happen in a spreadsheet. They happen in those tense meetings where you have to defend your work, push back on an impossible request, or just navigate some really tricky client politics. So today, we're building a toolkit specifically for mastering those moments.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll define what these conversations actually are. Then, we'll get into the psychology of why they go south. After that, we'll arm you with a solid framework and some killer tactics. And finally, we'll talk about how to walk away from these talks with real, solid agreements.
So what makes a conversation difficult? Well, it's really this perfect storm, isn't it? You've got clashing opinions. Your data says one thing, the client's gut says another. The stakes are super high because there's a deadline or a budget on the line. And because of all that, emotions are just dialed up to 11.
I mean, does this sound familiar? You're stuck in the middle. The salesperson promised the client the moon. The client is demanding it, and you're looking at the project reality thinking, there is no way. Whether it's scope creep, a stressed-out delivery manager, or a stakeholder who wants a dashboard that's basically magic, yeah, this is the job.
There's actually a name for these moments. They're called crucial conversations. And honestly, mastering these is what separates a good consultant from a great one. When you nail these conversations, those nagging, chronic problems on your projects, they start to disappear. But when you mess them up, well, that's when things really start to unravel.
Okay, so if we're going to get better at these conversations, we have to understand why they go off the rails so fast. And it usually boils down to one simple, very human, very hardwired reaction.
This quote from Dr. Abby Medcalf just says it all. See, when you tell a client their big idea isn't feasible with the current data, they don't just hear a technical limitation. Their brain might hear, you don't know what you're talking about, and boom, that triggers a primal fight-or-flight response. That defensiveness you're seeing, it's just their brain trying to protect their status and ego.
And you know, defensiveness isn't always somebody yelling. Oh no, it's much sneakier than that. It's the stakeholder who says you're just being too sensitive when you point out a flaw. It's the manager who plays the victim when you push back on an unreasonable timeline. Or maybe it's the client who just goes completely silent after you present findings they didn't want to hear.
So if defensiveness is the poison, psychological safety is the antidote. This is everything. It's about creating a space where people, you included, feel like they can speak up, ask a dumb question, admit a mistake, or challenge an idea without getting their head bitten off. This has to be the foundation.
So how do we actually create that psychological safety? We don't just wing it. We use a framework. Having a clear structure helps take the emotion and blame out of it and shifts the focus to just, solving the problem together.
One of the most powerful tools out there is something called nonviolent communication, or NVC. It sounds intense, but it's really just a simple, elegant way to say what you need while still respecting what the other person needs. For a consultant, this is gold.
Okay, NVC step 1, stick to the facts. Pure, undeniable observation. No judgment, no exaggeration. So instead of saying your new request is completely out of scope, which just sounds accusatory, you say, I've reviewed the specs for the new sales dashboard and I don't see it in our original project charter. See the difference? One is an attack, the other is just a fact.
Step 2 is where you connect that fact to a need. This is the why. So after stating the fact about the dashboard, you explain your need. In order for us to hit our deadline for the main project, the team needs to stay focused on the deliverables we've already agreed on. You're not complaining, you're connecting it to a shared goal, hitting the deadline.
And the final piece, step 3, is making a clear request. Not a demand, a request. It's an invitation to work with you. For that dashboard situation, you might ask, would you be open to creating a separate change request for this? That way we can properly scope it out without jeopardizing the current timeline. It opens a door, it doesn't slam it shut.
Here's another fantastic tool, the SBI model. It's so simple: situation, behavior, impact. For example, in the client meeting this morning situation, when you promised the new predictive model by Friday, behavior, I got concerned because that means I'll have to pull the whole team off our main deliverable to even have a chance of hitting that. Impact. It's direct, it's not emotional, and it's all based on facts.
Frameworks are awesome for planning, but what about when you're live in the moment and things are getting tense? Let's load up your toolkit with some practical tactics you can use right on the spot.
You might have seen this before. It's the radical candor quadrant, and it is such a great mental model. The sweet spot where you want to live is that top right corner. It means you care personally about your clients and your team, But you also have a duty to challenge directly when something's not right. It's not about being mean, it's about being clear because you care enough not to let things fail. You know, the first 10 seconds of a tough talk can decide the next 10 minutes. So how you open is everything. Just stealing one of these lines can change the whole vibe. Starting with, "I need your help," or "I think we might see this differently," immediately signals partnership, not a fight.
It's also so important to know your own default setting in a conflict, and it helps to spot the style of your stakeholders too. So let's do a quick run through, see which one of these feels a little too familiar.
First, we have the shark. This person is all about winning. They want the goal achieved, and they don't really care about the relationship. Then you have the total opposite, the teddy bear. They value the relationship so much they'll give up on their own goals just to keep everyone happy and avoid conflict.
Then there's the turtle. When things get tense, they just pull back into their shell and avoid the issue altogether. And you've also got the fox. The fox is a compromiser, always trying to find the middle ground, even if that middle ground means nobody really gets what they need.
And that brings us to where we want to be, the owl. The owl sees conflict as a problem to be solved, not a battle to be won. The owl is trying to find a solution where both the goals get met and the relationship stays strong. It's the ultimate win-win.
Okay, you did it. You used the frameworks, you used the tactics, and you had a really productive, if difficult, conversation. But listen, you are not done. This next part is maybe the most important part of all, turning that talk into a real decision.
One of the biggest reasons conflicts pop up again is that nobody was clear on how the decision would actually be made. So clarify it. Is this a command decision where one person just makes the call? Are you in consult mode where they'll get your input but decide on their own? Or are you aiming for consensus? Just asking the question, how will we decide, saves so much grief later.
And please, I'm begging you, never ever walk out of a difficult conversation without a crystal clear action plan. It's this simple. Who is doing what? By when are they going to do it? And when are we all going to check back in? Writing this down makes it real and holds everyone accountable.
We have covered a ton of ground here, so I'm going to leave you with a question. I want you to think of that one conversation. You know the one I'm talking about, the one you've been avoiding. Now, looking back at everything we just talked about, what is the one tool, just one, that you are going to use to finally have that conversation this week?